The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you. Hello, and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist, Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined once again this week by...
Tim Kirk with an atom brain.
Yes, yeah, I'm so excited to have you back. The one thing with Eric's schedule being kind of changed is it's been kind of fun, just kind of changing up the dynamic week to week. And I was like, I haven't talked to Tim in a while. I should get him back, and I'm excited you had some time to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad to do it. I'm really excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, so this week we were talking about Creature with the Atom Brain, sort of like, classic atomic age radiation scare sort of monster movie. And yeah, this one is a lot of fun. Like I really
great.
Yeah, it's it has that like it's almost like a spy story mixed with a monster movie. So it's it's really fun. And like, it's got this police procedural angle, which is really fun. It's definitely of its time. They don't really make movies like this anymore, which is a shame, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny because it's got its good pedigree. I mean, the guy who wrote it is, I can't pronounce his last name. It's Kirk. It's spelled Siodmak. Is that Seedmack, I guess?
I think it's Siodmak, but I'm not positive about that. But yeah, that dude has written all kinds of stuff. He's all over the place.
I know, but he wrote The Wolfman and Frankenstein versus the Wolfman and House of Frankenstein. So, I mean, that's a good pedigree for us, at least,
Absolutely, yeah. He was a novelist too. He did all kinds. Really? I believe he has a brother who also wrote a bunch of stuff. Like I want to say I can't remember which one of them did Donovan's Brain. That was this was Kurt Siodmak too. He wrote the novel Donovan's Brain. That like there's a bunch of movies. We're actually going to be talking about those pretty soon. I think me and Hayden are. But yeah, he's just done all kinds of cool stuff.
And he's done gangster stuff as well, right? I mean,
yeah, which that kind of feels like what's going on here. It's like we have a little bit of that. It's like the monster movie and the noir gangster thing sort of like merging together into this story.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I loved about this movie was the bad guy to get ahead of us is a gangster who has gotten a German scientist to help him create these zombies so I mean, it's so great because it's this bad guy with like a big suit standing around in a laboratory with tubes and levers and sparks and stuff. And with this German scientist who's like, oh, hey, we must do this. And that's all he does. He doesn't like shoot guns or anything. He just stands around in this laboratory. It's pretty great for that alone,
Yeah. Like I said, this is the kind of, it's like two sort of genres that they don't really make anymore, but merged together into this very unique, fun, weird thing. The title is kind of deceptive because there's not really a creature with the atom brain. There's a lot of creatures.
Right.
There's a whole big thing going on here.
Yeah.
It's very much like a revenge plot thing.
Right. And throwing one other thing is there's the whole family, the whole family of there's a whole family thing going on too, with this little girl and her doll, and we get
yeah,
there's that too. So there's a lot going on.
absolutely, yeah. All right, you want to like get into
Yeah,
it?
let's jump in. I just was like, yeah, let's get in. Let's get in.
Yeah. So yeah, we start. We have like a shambling sort of man that looks very zombie-like, headed up towards like, he's walking towards the camera, and then we cut away to a car pulling up to a house, and a man gets out of the car, goes into the house, and we see inside there's like. We meet sort of like a crime boss, but he seems like he runs like a casino kind of thing or something. He's getting like the evening's takings or whatever, like a bag of money. He's like putting it in a safe, and then suddenly our like shambling zombie guy that we saw a minute ago just bursts through a window and attacks the guy.
Right. And the guy does have a Frankenstein look to him. He has a flat top, and he's got a scar across his forehead. And then the guy says, in a real robotic way, like, "I have come to kill you," right?
Yeah. He says, "I told you I'd be back." And then he says, I can't remember exactly. He says something like, "Do you remember Buchanan?" And the guy's like,
Right.
"You're not Buchanan." And he says, "I don't look like him, but I am him."
Right.
Which is a pretty ominous thing to hear. And we get a pretty like gnarly kill for like this time period, especially the like zombie guy like breaks the crime boss like like he picks him up and like snaps his back. Like
Right.
it's pretty brutal. And of course the bosses like henchmen all rush in, they're firing, they shoot, like they riddle this zombie guy with bullets, but of course, he's not a regular human, and he just wanders back out of the, climbs back out the window and just like walks off.
Right.
So it's a pretty intense start to this thing. We kind of got to like, what is going on here? And we cut right to, as you said, we get like a mad science lab, and we have two guys, Buchanan, the like gangster, and I forget the actual scientist.
Yeah,
We get his name. Yeah, they say it, but it's like way later in the movie. I mean, it's
Right.
like, it's a German name anyway.
Wilhelm, maybe.
That could be, yeah. That sounds, or that might be his last name is Stieg or Steig.
Steig, okay.
Yeah, something. Yeah. But so we see them, and obviously they are the ones in control of the zombie.
And they're talking about a little microphone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like saying, "Come back now. Come back to the laboratory. Come back," right? And he's and that's a funny thing about this monster, and we'll see that there are other monsters. Is they just kind of, like you said, they kind of just wander around. They're not very scary looking, really. They just kind of they just lurk around.
Mm-hmm. Other than like the scars across their forehead, they just look like guys for the most part. Like there's nothing especially monstrous about them.
Exactly.
But yeah, so of course Buchanan is like, is he gonna make it back? They shot him a lot, and Stieg is like, he's got faith in his science. He's like, as long as he's got an ounce of fluid in his body, he'll get back. Like he's not really alive, so he can't really die. It'll be fine. And they're like, okay, well let's since this one's probably not going to be good anymore by the time he gets back, let's go take a look at our other projects. And they put on like hazmat suits and crawl through like a plastic tunnel to another part of the science lab, where they have like two guys sitting in chairs, and they're just like fully zombie. Like they're not moving at all. They're just like sitting there staring off into space. And like, I think Stieg is like, these two are no good. They've worn out. Like, the brains are fully dead. We're gonna have to just get some new ones. These are no good. But yeah, he goes into the science. Like, there's the science in this is, it's not really much as far as science goes. No. But yeah, basically they're doing something where they're like turning these people into zombies through radiation. And they just slowly disintegrate. They break down as the body decays. But we go from them back to the scene of the crime, where now the police are there. They're investigating. There's been a murder, and everything about this crime scene is strange. We saw the guy, the boss was opening a safe. He had this big bag of money. The money didn't get taken. This isn't a robbery. No, that seems strange right away. But also there were metal bars on the window that have been bent. Right. And of course the body was broken in half. And the boss's like henchmen have told the cops, like, we shot that guy a lot and he just didn't hurt him. So they do see some blood on the windowsill that they want to test, and there's also fingerprints. But weirdly, they both glow. The fingerprints and the blood are glowing. Yeah, they say they're luminous. Mm-hmm. So they take take back all these samples to the police station, and of course, the things are radioactive, which is strange. And then also, it turns out that the blood is not actually blood. It's a strange concoction of chemicals. They don't really go into specifically what it is, but like, this is everything about this is out of the ordinary. And so they're like, well, we'll wait on the fingerprints. Maybe that'll at least help us identify who it is. So there's a funny bit here where maybe I'm jumping ahead of it, but the reporters come ask. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, and the reporters say, like, what's going on here? And Chet says, well, the creature has radioactive blood, an atom bomb, an atom brain, et cetera, et cetera. And then the reporter says, well, just for that, I'm going to spell your name, which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, like, so yeah, as you said, Chet, so we have two sort of main cops that we deal with. Chet is sort of our main protagonist, and then he's got a friend, Dave. Dave Harris. Yeah, and they seem like, they're good cops, and they're dropped into a very supernatural experience, which is sort of challenging for, a fact-based police officer. But they seem to kind of like, a lot of these kind of movies, we have the cop that like refuses to accept the things that are right in front of him. And it's like, yeah, a lot of this is hard to believe, but it's here. So we have to move, they'll like twist themselves in knots trying to find a more logical explanation. But Chet's like, this doesn't add up, but we're going to have to, this is the clues we've got. So we got to move forward. We'll see what happens. And yeah, his sense of humor about it, especially with the reporters, is really funny. Yeah. But so then we have, like, later on, Chet is at home. He's, as you said, there's this family story as well. He's got, his wife and his daughter that he lives with. And there's, like, domestic bliss here. Everybody's happy. Like, he's very flirty with his wife. They're, I think Dave comes by to visit, and she goes in to tell Chet, like, hey, Dave's out, in the living room. And he's like, Dave can wait. And he kind of tries to, like, he wants to fool around a little bit. And she's like, yeah, we'll do that later. Like, Dave's waiting on you. That's, it's not the time. But it's like, it's very sweet. Like, they seem very much in love. And that, obviously sets up stakes where it's like, if something bad happens to Chet or his family, like, it's going to be bad. Sure. Yeah, I like that. The little girl really loves Uncle Dave. She calls him Uncle Dave. And the little girl has a little doll named Henrietta. Is that right, Henrietta? Yeah, I think so, yeah. Maybe she's like, Henrietta just wants to play with Uncle Dave. And we'll have to do that later because we've got to go to the morgue. But
so that Dave has a relationship with the little girl, which pays off later. So there's a little thing going on around in that whole family, which is part of the whole situation there, which is good.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So then we head off to the morgue, right?
I think I think maybe on their way to the morgue, Dave explains like why he came by, which is the fingerprints came back and they belong to an ex-con who died of tuberculosis a few weeks ago.
Right.
And so they're like, Chet's like, what? Like, this is, the more information we get, the less it makes sense. But we cut away from they're headed to the police station, and then we cut away from them back to Buchanan, who has sent another, zombie out to kill another, enemy. So he's on like a revenge kick, basically, so he's sent out this other killer. Meanwhile, the police are, they're listen. So the boss who died at the beginning, as he was putting the money in the safe, he was recording into a dictaphone to tell his secretary what to do, or like how much the takings were and all that. So the cops have that recording and they're listening to it. And at the end, there's just like a second or two of the monster talking. And they're like, does this sound familiar? Does anybody recognize this? And right away, they're like, the voice sounds weird and robotic and echo. It sounds like a recording of a recording. Like there's like an echoey effect to it. But the voice does sound a little familiar too. But before they can like really get into that, they get a call that there's been another murder. So the one that we knew Buchanan just sent somebody out for, that's happened. And this time it's weird because, before it was a crime boss. Okay, crime begets crime. People kill each other in the crime world. This time it's a district attorney. So that changes, but everything else still seems connected. There's radioactive fingerprints and blood around. But so they're like, okay, what is going on here? I wonder how those two are connected. And then they find out that the fingerprints are not of the same guy. So they're connected, but not that connected. There's, something... and I think then they find out, of course, that this guy is also supposedly dead. So two dead guys kill different people in the same town, like 2 days apart. Like, what is going on here? This is very strange.
Yeah.
Is this when we get the... this is when we get to the morgue where they talk to the coroner and he's like, yeah, I had both of those guys, but they're gone. And there's a couple other bodies gone too. So, maybe more things are going to happen. Like, I assume these all went to the same place. So that's not good news.
They've been in the morgue already and then they're gone. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's where they're getting the bodies. Right.
And then we get the first, there's a great little bit of like exposition dumping where they use like a news reporter. But it's kind of also, it's very like comic relief because the news reporter's like, I'm going to report what they said, but this sounds crazy. And so he's editorializing a lot about like, this doesn't sound likely, but this is what I've been told to say. Apparently there's atomic corpses running around town killing people, so be on the lookout for that, I guess.
Yeah, he's really sarcastic asshole. He's just like laying it out. Yeah. That's a really funny sequence.
And it's really great because it works for exposition for us, and it always, after we have his news report, we cut to Buchanan and Stieg are watching the news. They're always the ones seeing the report, and they're like, oh man, this is going to make things worse. I think Stieg's like, this might prove dangerous for us that people know, and he's like, nah, it's gonna prove dangerous for them. I'm gonna make them pay for getting into my business. So Stieg, like, it's one of those things where like Stieg just wants to do science, and he doesn't. It's the Oppenheimer thing, right? Where like, I'm going to do the science no matter what. I don't care if it's good or bad. I just want to do the science. And Buchanan's like, I'll give you the money for the science, but I'm going to choose what we're doing with it, which is going to be my villainous revenge plot.
Is this where Chet tells his story about the frog legs?
Yeah. We cut from the science lab to Chet, who's like, maybe this is he talks about Faraday, who was a real scientist who like experimented with galvanism type stuff, and like electrified frog legs and stuff.
Right.
So Chet, he's smart. He's like, the electricity in the frog, it would cause the leg to kick, but then as soon as you stop putting the electricity, it would stop. It's not a powerful source, but what about radioactivity? It's an ongoing kind of source of energy. So maybe somehow a scientist is putting radioactive energy into a corpse, and that allows the corpse to kind of move around for a while, rather than just like while the electrodes plugged in. So he's basically figured it out already.
Yeah.
Which is really unexpected for just a cop, a beat cop who's not a scientist, but he's on top of it.
And I love that they escalate things so quickly too, because he's like, okay, I want you to call the mayor and the general. And it's like, what? Mm-hmm. It's like, Jesus Christ, this is really going like boom up the, and they do it.
Yeah,
they do it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, get the mayor and the generals in here.
Yeah, and they all come in and they're like, "Yep, okay, we're on board. Let's."
Yeah, we want airplanes how do we stop and trucks. This? We'll get, and they get them.
Yeah. But of course, back in the science lab, Buchanan also is like, this Chet guy, he's dangerous to my plan. So he tries to stage a car crash with a corpse driving a car, but he's not able to catch up to Chet's car in time, and Chet gets to an Air Force base, and they're like, okay, well, back off. We can't do anything at the base. And that's, as you said, this is when like they start organizing, like, we're going to get planes up in the air with like radioactivity detectors that can just like fly around and see where hot spots are that we can investigate.
Right. So
that after he kind of gets that arranged, he heads home to the family. And of course, his wife is like, what have you gotten mixed up in? This sounds bad. And he's like, yeah, it's scary, but like the whole town's in danger, and it's my job to make sure everybody's safe. But in the meantime, let's kind of keep it quiet around our daughter. Like, don't let her see the newspaper. Don't watch the news while she's around. Like, this is upsetting stuff. Yeah. So they tell her like, oh, the paper didn't come today. I guess you'll just have to read the funnies tomorrow. And our TV's broken, so we can't watch that today. And she's like, okay, I guess I'll just go play with Henrietta then.
Henrietta.
And that's when Dave arrives, and he's like, I found the connection between the two murders. They both worked to put this higher level crime boss named Buchanan in jail. So the DA prosecuted him, and the guy at the casino, he flipped on him because he wanted to be the new boss. So he got Buchanan sent away and then took over Buchanan's operation. And like apparently when Buchanan was found guilty and they were dragging him out, he was like, I'll get you, I'll come back and I'll kill you all for this and all that. So they're like, pretty straightforward. Buchanan's responsible. Now we just got to find him.
Right. So Uncle Dave to the rescue there.
Yeah. Dave's. I mean, they're both great cops. Like that's. Yeah. And I think Buchanan, once he got out of jail, he was deported, but they have like checked in where he lived in Europe, and he's gone. He's gone missing everywhere. So definitely he's on the loose. And so they're like, okay, well, who else had connections to this case? Is there anybody else we should be watching? And they've got a list. They get several guys who have all gone straight, and they're like, we want to put you in protective custody. We're going to put you like in jail just so that you're safe. And they're all like, we don't want to go to jail. We've worked hard to be upstanding citizens. If I go to jail, my wife's not going to believe that this is for my own good. She's going to think I'm in trouble, or my job or whatever. So like everybody's like, no, we're not doing it. And they're like, okay, I guess we'll try to keep a police protective detail on you, but that's going to be a little harder, but we'll do our best. And so,
they all head home to, with various cops following after them. And that's when they get more information back from Europe, where I guess they talked to the police there, who have searched Buchanan's home and found a science lab in the basement. And apparently they've discovered that he was working with a scientist named Stieg, who has also gone missing. So, again, they've got all the information they need. They've got it all pretty much figured out. They just got to find where they are. But right away, we see that the whole police detail thing falls apart quickly. A zombie shows up at one of the guys' house, dressed like a cop, walks right past the other cops because he looks like he works with them, and kills the guy. So that definitely didn't work.
Then we cut back to KX1W TV, and that snarky anchor remits his story, right?
Yeah, at this point he's like, this still sounds crazy, but I guess it's true. So we've got military planes flying overhead, detecting. So be on the lookout. Stay safe. Stay home if you can. Yeah. So yeah, he's at least buying into it at this point. And again, we see that Buchanan and Stieg are the ones watching this. And they're not happy that now there's radioactivity detector planes looking for us. That's going to make things really hard.
Yeah, Buchanan's very worried about this. Oh no, the German scientist is worried. Buchanan is just like, we keep going.
Mm-hmm. But Stieg, he leaves the hideout. I think eventually he says he needed to go get some refill of his prescriptions before things get really bad. But while he's out, he sees some cops in a car with a radioactivity detector, and he's like, oh no, I've probably got enough on me. So he ducks into a bar, and then runs out the back or whatever, and the cops go in to investigate the bar, and they find where, there's a trail everywhere that Stieg was. They see they see traces of radiation, but he manages to get away, but they're like, yeah, that guy definitely was part of this.
They discovered some radioactivity in there too, right where he was standing. Oh, and the bill he paid with, the dollar bill he paid with.
Yeah, which he pay. I think he pays with a 10, and this is back when a drink costs 75 cents or whatever. So he got the bartender was excited about getting a big tip, but then he has to turn it over to the cops, and he's like, come on. And while all that's going on, we go to Chet, who has gone to the university to talk to a scientist about what's going on here, and is he familiar with any of this kind of work? And he's like, yeah, in addition to using energy to revive corpses, there is also there have been experiments of controlling animals with electrodes implanted in their brain, and he shows videos of a dog being shocked into being happy and then angry, and they make the dog do different stuff. And Chet's like, could this work on a dead animal? And the professor's like, those are two separate things. Maybe if somebody really knew what they were doing, maybe, but nobody's doing that yet, as far as I know. And the professor's like, wait, is this the thing that's going on that I've been hearing on the news? You think that's what's happening? And Chet's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. It all makes sense, right? And the professor's like, yeah, I guess, what you're saying, yeah, if that was possible and there were people who knew what they were doing, that does seem like it answers all the questions that I've been hearing about on the news. So, okay, I think that's when he gets a call from Dave about what they found out at the bar, and he's like, okay, yeah, that was obviously Stieg, so, we're on their tail at this point. Everything's coming together.
So they're back in the lab, right? Back in the lab, the German scientist is seeing all the planes, and he's getting really worried. But so Buchanan is saying, let's send out some more of our men out to go after them. and this is my favorite part of the whole movie, is he says, "Send out more stoolies," which is how he calls his monsters. And I just love that. Is like, this is a new term for us. Like, we've heard monsters, creatures, fiends, and now it's stoolies. So instead of like, it's not Frankenstein's monster, it's the stoolie, you know?
Yeah, this is where the monster movie and the gangster movie really start to intersect.
Exactly. I love the stoolie. Go get that stoolie. Get the stoolies.
Yeah. But Buchanan, like, he takes a pretty wild swing here, because he's like, I mean, if they, fly over and see us, we're cooked. So he just calls. He does it through one of the stoolies, so that, like, it's not his voice. But he calls the police and he just threatens the entire city, basically. Like, end those planes. I don't want to see any more planes overhead. And if I do, stuff's going to start happening. People are going to die. Right now, it's just people who deserve it who are dying, but soon it's going to be a lot of innocent people and a lot more deaths if you don't stop this investigation right now.
Right.
But of course the police are like, we're not going to give in to the terrorists. If we give in, we'll never find him. So at first I think they're like, well, let's call his bluff. Let's just keep doing it. And then suddenly we get like a montage of like all kinds of horrible stuff, like trains derailing, planes crashing, big car accidents, the spinning newspaper headlines saying all the, various stuff.
It's great because it's this intercut with these faces just going straight into the camera of these monsters, or the stoolies, excuse me. These stoolies straight into the camera, and then like a train blowing up, and then the face going into the camera, then the plane crashing, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
And then the governor declares a state of emergency at this point, right?
Yeah, we have like some scenes back and forth where like, I think we get more with the news where they're just like, stay inside. Yeah. We can't stop our hunt, but things are dangerous, so just do not leave your house. Everyone stay home. Meanwhile, Buchanan and Stieg are watching this on the news, and they're like, what are we going to do? They're not going to stop. And, like, Stieg's ready to, like, just quit. But Buchanan's like, no, I've still got to finish my list. And I've just added a new one to it, Chet Walker. He is at the top of the list now.
Right.
Then we go to something that, like, actually didn't pay off as much as I expected it to. At the police station, Chet and Dave are talking, and Chet's like, I have a Geiger counter in my car to test things, but it's damaged. Do you think you could get it fixed? And Dave's like, yeah, why don't we just swap cars? That'd be easier. I'll just take your car to the place. I'll get the Geiger counter repaired, and then I'll meet you back at your house later and pick my car up. And so right away I was like, Dave is dead. Like they're gonna think this is Chet's car and run it off the road or something. But instead they just like, I think they do sort of run him off the road, but not to his death. They just like, stop the car basically. And right away, Buchanan's like, oh, this isn't Chet, but this could work too. I'll just kidnap Dave. That's fine. I can pivot and use that to my advantage. So like, there's no confusion about identities. Like right away, it's pretty quickly straightened out. But so of course, they turn Dave into one of the radioactive, the creature with the atom brain, basically.
And Dave is the least scary stoolie. I mean, he just really he's this middle-aged guy, and he just lumbers around. I mean, he's never very scary. But it is when he goes into the. Are we getting up to the scene where he goes sees the little girl?
Yeah, that is. So the one change, like Stieg, I guess because I don't know if it's because Dave is just freshly dead, or I'm not sure why, but all the others, like Buchanan basically is talking through like a speaker in his own voice out of the monsters, but this time it's actually Dave's voice. They're able to do that, which really works because now they can use Dave. And so, like, yeah, as you said, like that adds a lot of tension because we see Dave coming up to Chet's house, and Penny's like, "Oh, it's Uncle Dave," and she lets him in, and it's just like, "Oh no, what's going to happen to Penny?" But thankfully, Mrs. Walker comes in. She sees Dave, but like, even though he's talking in his own voice, he's still very stiff and kind of robotic in ways that like both Penny and Mrs. Walker are like, something's not right here. They can't really place it, which you'd think they'd be like, we've heard about all this radioactive monster stuff, like, but no, they don't seem to. They're just like, Dave's a little weird. We should, check in with Chet, and like Dave is asking them where Chet is, and this was. I feel like if you're a cop's wife, you should probably have like a little bit of like, you know the drill. You got to do things, by the book. But right away she's like, "Oh yeah, Chet, he went to the station where the two other, the other two people that are being hunted are hiding out, and he went to check on them." And she just gives all the information directly to Buchanan, and even says like, so Chet had this whole, the plan where we're going to try to trick Buchanan by telling him that they're here, but they're actually here. And I was just like, no, why are you telling him all this? It's ruining everything. Yeah. But so she's like, hang on, I'll get us, I think she says like, I'll get us some tea or something. She goes into the kitchen, and Penny goes with her. And when they come back to the living room, Dave's gone. And in his place, he's left Henrietta just torn to pieces. Like this doll is just ripped to shreds.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, which is very upsetting to Penny.
Yeah. And the wife screams.
Yeah. I mean, like right away, like that. I mean, I think that fully gives away something's wrong with Dave. Like Dave would never do this. He loves Penny. He wouldn't hurt her like this. It's upsetting, but the only like the blessing is he didn't do it to Penny. He did it to her doll.
Yeah, it definitely echoes.
A little scary there.
Definitely echoes of the Frankenstein with the little girl. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, when he comes in and we just see him with Penny, that like, yeah, it's hard not to think that right away. Like, yeah. But so instead, of course, he heads to the jail. When he gets, like, Chet hasn't arrived there yet, and like I think he asks the officer at the desk, who calls Chet and says like, Dave's down here. I think he's looking for you, and then we just cut to Dave walking right back out. Like a little bit of time has passed. Chet is arriving at the station as Dave is leaving, and I can't remember exactly, but it's pretty obvious that Dave went there to kill them, and I can't remember exactly how they show us that, but like we do see that inside the jail, the other two associates are dead, but of course Dave doesn't know this, or Chet doesn't know this. I mean, so he's like, "Oh, hey Dave," and they get in the car together to go investigate something. And Dave, again, Chet is like, you seem out of it. You're a little, he's not talking. He starts speeding and he's kind of driving erratically. And he is the cop, unlike his wife. So he's right away like, something's wrong here. And then the radio, I think that's when we find out about the deaths for sure, is that like the radio in the car goes off and is like, just tells him everything. Like the two guys were killed in the jail by Dave, it seems like, and he was last. We're calling an APB. He was last seen getting into a car with Chet Walker. So Chet's like looking over, like, "Oh no, this is bad." We see then in the lab that Buchanan's just like, "Crash the car, Dave! Crash the car." But Chet's smart enough, like after having heard all this, he knows things are bad, and so he throws himself out of the car at the last second, before it crashes. So he manages to, he a little road rash, but much better off than he would have been if he'd been in the car when it crashed. And I think Chet tells, like, the authorities all arrive. Chet's like, "Take Dave to the hospital. I want to see if there's anything we can do to save him, to undo whatever's been done to him." I think then we get like Chet going to the hospital, and we get a lot of like explanation, like that there's a circuit board implanted in Dave's skull, and
Exactly.
some sort of like lenses embedded in his eyes, so that like somebody is able to see through his eyes, and it's all being transmitted back to a base. So we see in the hospital, Dave sits up, kind of like very robotically. It looks like like Michael Myers, like 3/4 of the way through every Halloween movie, where he just like is suddenly still alive.
Yeah.
But back in the lab, Buchanan and Steed can't see what's going on because of all the tests and the X-rays and everything. They just have static on their screen.
Right.
So they're like, "Oh no, what's going on? We don't know what's happening." But Chet wisely is like, "Let's see what happens. If Dave gets up and is walking, let's just follow him. Maybe he'll go back to base."
Right.
And so yeah, I think Dave gets in a cop car and speeds away, and Chet gets in like a police helicopter and is following overhead. But we end up with like sort of like a slow police chase. But we all get to the base where there's like tons of police cars, police motorcycles. The helicopter lands. Like everybody's here to make sure that they shut down the operation.
And then there's a cool moment where the Buchanan says, like, "All right, turn them all over." And then we go to this room, which we haven't seen before, and there's like a ton of stoolies in there. There's like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 of them. And they're all just sitting there alone in their suits. And they all just stand up and walk outside and start fighting with the police and stuff. But that was a great moment. I had no idea that he had all those stoolies,
Yeah, because when we had the guy in the morgue, he said like a few bodies were missing, but I was not expecting this many.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's a great sort of like big climactic moment where we have like all of these zombie stoolie monsters fighting a bunch of cops. It's all this big sort of throwdown. And while all that's going on, Chet manages to kind of like get through the chaos and get inside, and he is fighting Buchanan, one-on-one. I think Dave also comes in.
Yeah.
And Buchanan is like, yelling, "Get him!" to have Dave kill Chet. But somehow, I don't know, the X-ray shorted out the controls or whatever, but even though Dave is still, an atomic monster and no longer really Dave, he goes to Buchanan instead and is like choking Buchanan. And Buchanan's like firing a pistol. He shoots him a ton of times, but of course we know that doesn't do anything.
It's like a cop is always a cop kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's what really cements this as being a Frankenstein movie for me, is that always the monster turns on his evil creator.
Right,
we had to have.
There you go.
Yeah. So we have. I think like eventually Dave does sort of like collapse dead on top of Buchanan as Buchanan is dying. And so Chet just starts smashing up the lab and just breaking equipment. And as he does, all the monsters outside fighting the cops just kind of all like go unconscious and fall over. So like once the controls are down, they're just dead. Chet has saved the day. And then we get sort of our little like wrap up scene where Chet's back at home with his family and everything's okay.
And he says that Uncle Dave is going to give her a new dolly. Mm-hmm. She said she's going to make it Henrietta too.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah. And then the camera pans over, and on the coffee table there's a newspaper, and it says the creatures with the atom brains have been destroyed, and that's what takes us to credits. So yeah, unfortunately Dave doesn't make it, but he heroically kind of helps save the day there at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right that it was you were right. It's the monster taking the creator. That's the ending there. That's what happened there. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is I mean, it's really fun. You know, like we kind of said at the beginning, it's this perfect marriage of like two sort of genres that we don't see anymore, all together. You know, combined in this very fun sort of, you know, genre mashup. And yeah, it's a fun little Frankenstein story. It doesn't have it's not one with a lot of like thematic depth to dig into. It's just a good cops and robbers monster movie, and that's great. Like I love a movie like this from time to time.
Yeah, it only lasts about an hour, so it's pretty fun. It moves right along. There aren't any. It's fun, and there's a lot of funny bits in it, and it moves around too. There's a lot of different locations, LA locations. I think they shot in the pretty much around the Burbank area.
Okay.
North Hollywood, kind of in that 30s there. It was 50s, 40s, whatever it was. Pretty good. I liked it. Enjoyed it.
Does some of it look familiar to you? I don't like, or is any of that?
There was one point where they were like, "Oh, he's on Foothill now," and I was like, "Oh," because I know the Foothill area pretty well. I was like looking pretty closely, but nothing specifically. But they said it was. Yeah, I looked around closely. I couldn't get anything specific. Should have. I was looking, man. I was looking. I tried.
I know there's a lot of people that are like really like into being able to track down locations from movies. I don't have an eye for like I feel like I would, even if I saw like a very distinct house, I don't know that I would immediately make the connection like, oh, that's the house from this movie or whatever. Like other than like, you know, I mean, there's like, I know there's that like a planetarium observatory that's in like Rebel Without a Cause and stuff, some like really distinct stuff like that. I think I would recognize that, but outside of that, just like a street, I would definitely never clock that, you know, oh, that's this street or anything.
There's some guys around here who've done like specific films from like there's a great movie called Crime Wave. I don't know if you've ever seen it. With Sterling Hayden and really young Charlie Bronson. Really good film. But some guys went around and just went and found every location they could and just took pictures. And there's a blog of just like one shot of what happened there and then right now, and it was pretty great. They really did it. They really did it up, and I love finding it. It was because it's all right in my neighborhood, so it's like, holy shit, I drive right by there. Or, oh, that's a veterinarian place right now. You know, where that kind of place. It's really cool.
That is really cool.
I love that shit. But anyway, I couldn't do it for this one. Sorry. I'll get it next time.
All right. Well, I think that's all I've got to say about this one. Unless you got any final thoughts.
That's it. But yeah, good. It was fun. I would suggest watching it. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and this is one that you can, I believe, you can find it on YouTube. You know, it's around. I think there is like, it's part of like I think Arrow Video has a box set that it's like one of the movies in, but because it's so old, it's just around for free all over the place. So you can definitely track it down that way. But yeah, definitely worth your time. And like you said, it's just barely over an hour, so it's a quick, fun, breezy movie.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I never seen that character who played Chet, but he was pretty good. I enjoyed him. And
yeah.
it was a good cast, too, so it worked out.
Yeah. Well, I think, we like to tease what we're doing next week usually here, and I think we're going to have you back next week to talk about another sort of, classic era monster movie, Dr. Blood's Coffin.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Lots of blood in a coffin.
Yeah.
I guess. We're going to have to discuss that.
Yeah. All right, and as always, you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast, and you can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. We're also on YouTube and at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we've got all kinds of bonus episodes over there. So we'd love to have you. Check that out. Do you have anything I guess you've got, the book, you're still kind of in promotion mode about that maybe a little bit. Do you have anything you want to promote, point people towards?
No, that's it for now. I'm working on a bunch of other stuff that's in the works, but nothing else to write down to push.
If you haven't gotten to check out All His Damned Mother's Sons yet, definitely do. It's a great book. We had a lot of fun talking about that, a couple months ago, but I highly recommend it. It is definitely worth your time.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. And for those of you who haven't read Anthony's Bride of Frankenstein, go get it, because I read it and I really dug it.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I've read a lot of books from you and watched a lot of movies you've been involved with and enjoyed them all. So your opinion means a lot.
Cool, man. Thanks. Same with you.
All right. Well, then until next week, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman, Eric Velasquez, and Hayden Orr. Follow us online at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek.